Hello and welcome to this live workshop. We're live here in London at Bamboo Bicycle Club. I'm James, I'm the founder here, so I'm going to try and give you some knowledge today on some of what we do. What I'm looking at today are dropouts. And for those of you that aren't sure what dropouts are, these are the things at the rear of the frame that allow the rear wheel to spin round, most importantly, and they allow all the fittings of derailleurs, and they allow the fittings of brakes and so on. So what I'm going to explain the two types of dropouts that we do with our two kits that we offer, and I'm going to talk a bit about the design and how they're put together, and obviously when you come to fit the frame up, how to use those. I've got a beer today. So we've got the Bruno Helios, which is a light IPA. So I'm going to have a beer. So if you're just joining us for this live, do open a beer and sit back and relax, which I will do now. I do have, and I forgot my piece of bamboo today, so sorry about that. Okay, cheers. Thanks for joining. So the first thing I'm going to look at are our regular frame dropouts. So in the frame kit, you'll get a pack like this, and it will have all the parts in here. So I'm just going to open that up and run through what the different options are if you're building at home. So what you've got with the dropouts is you've got a drive and a non-drive side. And if you want to know the difference, you'll notice the small pieces here, okay? And these are the disc dropouts, okay? And these little holes here allow the discs to be mounted. So they're the non-drive. What we have with ours is we have what's known as a modular dropout. So the dropout, or the fitting for the rear wheel, can be changed. That means you may see some people on fixies or single speed bikes, you may see them with a hub gear, you may see them with a derailleur. There are loads of different combinations of gearing and bike setups that you may have seen across the world, or on other people's websites or whatever else. What we found, because we've taught a lot of people over the years, over the kind of 10 years that I've been designing and making bicycles, we found that when people build a frame, they then may want to run it as a single speed, or they may want to put gears. And they may decide that at different stages of the build. They may run it as a single speed for a year, and then they're like, oh, I want to put gears on it now. So what we've designed with our dropouts is that they're changeable. So it means that you can set up different fittings depending what you want. And that can be from the early stage of the build, when you've just built the frame, or it can be a year, 10 years into the frame life. You're able to make those changes, which is quite rare compared to conventional bikes. So when you buy a bike from Trek or Specialized or so on, it's a lot more difficult to change that system. Whereas for us, a bamboo bicycle should be completely customizable for what you want. And that's why we spent a lot of time designing different dropouts and different systems so that you can do it throughout the design life of the bike and during the build. And I'm just going to explain those. If you're just joining, I'm talking about all things dropouts. So they're the things that hold the rear wheel. You fit your rear derailleur to them, and you now fit disc brakes. You fit panniers and mudguards and things like that. So they're kind of a really important part of the bicycle, and actually as a design feature, they're quite tricky to design. So the first thing I'm going to explain is, if you look at our dropouts, you'll see these two little fittings here, and these are known as disc mounts. And what will happen if you take a conventional disc, like so, and you can see that's a disc caliper, that will fit exactly onto these points here, like so, and then you can screw them into the frame, into the dropout or into the frame. So you take your bolt, and this will just screw through here. So I'm just going to do that for you and just show you. try not to drop it. I'll show you exactly how that fits in. So you take an M5 Allen key and that screws in. So that's your disc compatibility. You don't have to use discs, but we've just found by having the fitting, it means you can always set up discs. So that just screws directly into the dropout, like so. And we've opted here for chainstay disc mounts. So it just allows you to fit. And this is for our flax kit, so it's a really customizable kit. So that fits on there nicely. So that's all fitted there. You can see I've just put the bolt through there, and then there's another bolt there. And what you'll be able to see is I've got a disc here. So you've got a disc, that fits there. That's the wheel, and that's going to rotate there. So you start to see how that fits together. Okay, so you've got disc fitting there. The different types of fittings we have, I'm just going to explain these. Okay, because for people that aren't into bikes, it can get really confusing into what type of gearing you want to do and what type of setup you might want. So if you're just joining, we're talking all things dropouts, and this is our Workshop Wednesday live. You can see loads of other videos that are on our YouTube channel, so you can check out other subjects we've discussed and we've taught, and we also talk about some of our products and so on. What we've then got is we've got a set of different inserts. So we've got 3 options. Okay. This option here is a QR, so it's designed for a standard quick release dropout. So like so, you may have all seen one of these on a wheel. And it will fit directly into here. And then if you want to, you've got a derailleur mount here, so you can fit a derailleur in there. So that's a standard dropout, and that will just then fit directly into this fitting here. So you can see it there. And then I just use some bolts to bolt that in. So that is for a QR, so a quick release, which you're all familiar with, and a derailleur setup. Okay, the other setup we've got is this one. So I don't know if you can see it there. So this is designed for a hub gear or a single speed. And the reason why it's for a single speed is you can see that it's got a slot. So what you do is you set the chain up and you pull the rear wheel back on this slot, and that allows you to add tension to the chain. So that will fit directly onto the same fitting there. So that's your single speed setup or hub gear. So if you want an internal hub like an Alphine or anything, or a Nexus, you can set that up. Okay. The final one we've got is we've got a thru axle. So we've got these small modular fittings. So if you think of thru axle, it's the same as a QR, so the same gearing system, but we've got a different type of axle. You can see it's a lot bigger, that fits through the wheel. And these are becoming really popular. So this is a 12mm thru axle, and that will just go through and fit there and fit directly through the dropout like so. So that means you can run all those different systems on this dropout. So I'll run through that one more time. We've got the QR system there, and that's going to fit in with this. And you've got a derailleur mount there. So if you've got a derailleur hanging there. You've got the single speed slot. So if you want to pull the rear wheel back, you can tension that up. And the final one you've got is you've got a thru axle there. So you can fit that with a thru axle. So this is almost every combination of rear bike wheel. So you might, for example, just have one system that you want to use and you want to set up, but who knows what will technology do, what you might want to change, how your life changes. And ultimately, your bicycle should be able to change for you when you need it to. If you're changing into different environments where you want different gearing, different systems, you can do that. And that's why we designed this special dropout that you can change. And that's why I'm just doing this very brief workshop Wednesday. This is obviously all covered in our manuals, and you can learn a lot more around this on our website. But I'm doing this very brief thing about dropouts and how important they can be for your frame, and giving you loads of different options to make a customizable bicycle and for it to be designed for your life so that you can change it as and when you want. I think that's really important. It has been for me. Sometimes I run single speed, sometimes I want to run gears, and I want my bike frame to be able to do all of those things and evolve with technology. So we can just design different inserts that fit into your frame. And as you can see them on this kind of finished frame here. Again, the same inserts will just fit in there like so. So I take that off, on and off, and they just screw through with a bolt here. Okay, so that's a conventional frame here. The final thing that's really important, I think, is to also have fittings for pannier racks. So if you want to fit a pannier rack or a mudguard, I think that's really important. So we have these fittings here and here, so they're on both sides. So you can also, if you want to, you can fit mudguards and a pannier rack. Again, if you're commuting and if it's winter, we think that every frame should be able to do that. A lot of frames you buy sometimes won't have those fittings, and it can be really frustrating if it's really, really wet and rainy, like it is today in London. It's annoying not to be able to fit those. So you can just see that little piece there on our dropouts there. So that is our standard flax kit. So that would go into the bamboo, this small piece here, and that's specially designed to join really well to the bamboo. And then you would wrap that with the flax fibre, okay? So that is our flax fibre kit. I'm now going to move on to our carbon kit. And our carbon kit is all pre-molded, but we've brought the same experience and technology into our carbon kit so that you can customize all of your frames. And if you're just joining me, I'm talking about dropouts. Dropouts are the things that hold your rear wheel in place, and they give you all the gearing options, disc mounting, and so on. So that's what I'm covering today. I'm just going to grab the carbon dropouts just to show you guys. Sorry about that, guys. That's the beauty of life. You can be really organised, but not too organised. Okay, so these are our carbon dropouts. And these are very similar, but the bamboo will insert inside of the carbon fibre and be glued in place. So you wouldn't do any hand wrapping. The bamboo just inserts directly into the pieces. So it's a lot quicker to build. Less customizable, so it's a lot more fixed geometry. Okay, so very similar to our other dropouts, we've got the same system. We've got 2 bolts here that will loosen off this part of the dropout, and I'm just going to do that for you just to show. So this loosens off here. And this is completely unique for what we do. I don't know a lot of bicycle manufacturers that do this option. And I don't think they do this option because it's expensive. You need to make lots of different parts, and you need to give customers lots of options. And a lot of people just don't want to spend the money to do that. And they just want to give you a fixed package. And that's something I kind of find really depressing. And that's why I got into building bicycles. I found it amazing that I could choose the types of setup I wanted. And for me, the whole ambition of this project is to give people that ability to create, to customize, and to build what they want. and not have something forced on them by someone else. So this is an option that you can create. And what we're hoping to do is just make that easier for you so that you can quickly change things. You can move things around and you can customize. But we've hopefully done the engineering for you and given you some of the know-how. So I'm going to talk about the carbon kit now. I'm just going to have another swig of beer. So thanks for joining. Okay. So I've got this chart here with all the different options, and I'm just going to talk through them in a bit more detail. I don't know if you can see that. I'll hold that as close as I can. Okay. So it's the same concept whereby we've got the QR. So we've got the QR, which you will probably recognize, this funny lever. We've got the QR, which is this one here. We've got the thru axle, which again is this one here. So for those of you that aren't sure what a thru axle looks like, it looks like that. And it's got a thread and it will go into there. Okay, so that fits in there. So you've got a thru axle. And again, you've also got a single speed. So I've talked through all those options. So for our carbon kit, it's exactly the same. Screws off and on. It just screws on there. And it's all CNC. So this is CNC'd aluminium. So it's easy to change and you just screw it back on. So, you know, sometimes if you knock your bike and you bend the rear derailleur, you can just change this off at any point. And for example, if you want to upgrade your wheel set and you go from an older QR to a newer thru axle, you just take that off and fit the thru axle directly in. So it's all the same fitting, but just giving you those options to give you longevity on the frame and the good design and design life as well. And then again, we've got the single speed. The slight difference between those two is the brake system is slightly different. So we've got, on the carbon fibre ones, we've got a more modern brake setup. So if you're buying like a Shimano 105 or you're buying a SRAM Force, we have a direct mount, okay? So this fits directly onto the frame. For the other system, you need to use an adapter for a direct mount that will fit onto it. So this is a slightly different system, but this is completely compatible with all brake systems. This is our newest kit, so it's slightly more advanced with the disc brake. If you don't want to run a disc brake, we also supply a fitting for a caliper brake, and we also supply a fitting for a cantilever. So that's other options around brakes, but on the Dropouts, we have this direct mount here for discs, and you might be able to see that there. So they just fit on, and it's a really clean system. If you're using post mount, which is another disc system, you just need a different bracket with this, and then that will fit on. Again, with this system on these Dropouts, you've got a mount here. So you can fit panniers or you can fit mudguards, and we've got the same fittings on this, and it's also got the same fittings on the frame. So with our pre-molded carbon kit, you've got the same systems as the flax fibre. And that's, for us, across our product range, we've got that ability to customize your frame, whether it's with the carbon kit or whether it's with our flax kit, which you make and join the parts yourself. So that's pretty much it for Dropouts. We also do a couple of custom options. So we do a belt drive option, and we also do a roll-off option as well. So over the years, we've probably had about 30 different designs of Dropouts. So we've done loads of different designs, and they're actually really hard to get right. They take a lot of work to make sure that when you're cycling, there's enough clearance for disc brakes, for chain rings, for derailleurs. So all those need to be configured, and we design all of it on computers so we can simulate all those different systems. And part of the trick of having an interchangeable one is that whatever you fit on will work on those different systems, and that's where we can model all of that on computer to create, you know, a simulation of what you're doing in real life, so that when you're riding your bike, you can just enjoy it. So that's the beauty of these Dropouts. That's it for now. If anyone's got any questions about dropouts, so they're the parts, again, that hold all your rear wheel, and they'd like to understand more about the design process, or you'd like to have a greater understanding of how our dropouts work, just get in touch. Just drop us an email or add a comment to this live, and I will try and answer them to the best of my ability. But thank you ever so much for joining our workshop Wednesdays. We do these every 2 weeks, so you can tune into them. The whole series is available on YouTube for free for you to sit back and relax, have a beer and enjoy. And I look forward to teaching the next workshop soon. But thank you ever so much for joining. We appreciate your support, and we look forward to helping you all build some custom bicycles. Okay, bye for now.